welcome to Asylum Atelier. Welcome to another creative discourse, and welcome to a continuation to Bad Painting Friday on Saturday. We can call this a redeem edition or try to redeem myself edition. But on a little serious note, for those of you who for those of you who been following me for a while, you know that we have a Bad Painting Friday stream where we really experiment with all kinds of weird stuff for obvious reason, to see how far we can get when it comes to painting. And yesterday was one of those days when I decided to again step out of my comfort zone, step out of my kind of the subjects that I know how to paint, or I like to paint. And since you like certain things to paint, you tend to paint them a little bit more often. And you are also, not only did you paint them often, you are also how would I put this? You are more familiar with that subject matter that you paint, right? So let's say that I work with figure drawings and figure paintings and portraits, right? That's where most of my time is. So obviously I'm a little bit more familiar with the figures and portraits and how to deal with the certain problems with the portraits and figures. I have more hours of observation and understanding the forms, and not only the understanding those forms, but how they relate to one another would be maybe even better. Better example of what I'm trying to say. And this is really challenging for me, this particular subject. And it's, you might think like, oh, it's just a cup and an apple. You've painted a bunch of these. Why is this an issue? Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I wouldn't call it an issue. It's more like, okay, I wanted to capture the kind of essence of that, and it feels that I was not able to do that. Remember, I talk a lot about stuff like with the figures. When I'm thinking about anatomy, I don't think about this muscle and that muscle. I don't think about like where's the insertion and where's the ending of the muscle, where the ligament starts, and so on and so forth. I rather think about how they relate to a gravity, and how the whole body relates to that kind of a pressure and the balance, rather than anything else. And I was looking for something, and since I've been the painting and drawing figures many years now, I am getting a little better with understanding these things, or at least I have a more experience with this kind of subject. Whereas looking at this particular cup, trying to find an essence in this little cup, wooden cup with apple on top of it, is extremely difficult. And I wouldn't say difficult. I think it's not as simple as it looks. That's probably what should I say, what I really feel about this. So I'm kind of I'm feeling little, you might say, unease when it comes to this. I don't know. But let's see. let's see how it's going to work today, because that's actually a main kind of idea of today's stream, is that I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one who experienced difficulties with painting, and difficulties with not necessarily being able to draw what you see or paint what you see, but capturing the essence, that that idea of how light interacts with the object that is hitting and how it's reflecting towards our eyes, being a little bit more technical, or going from the idea of using physics as an example, but also how it then those reflections of the light relates to us when we're looking at it, and then also how it will communicate when then I'm trying to replicate that kind of a feeling on the painting, and then viewer seeing it. So that is I think honestly a real challenge when it comes to painting, for me, for sure. And again, since this is a creative discourse, it's not necessarily that you disagree with me. I'm pretty sure that you will. Some of you definitely will disagree with me, but I don't think about these ideas as set in stone. These are more like a good talking points, or maybe more like a good idea points when we can start that discussion, because I think that we can definitely see that there was Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, and then modern art, and then the classical art in this era that we have right now, and we all work simultaneously, and all our ideas, abstract art of course, and all our ideas, they have a valid point, and they can actually live next to each other without necessarily either this or that is a truth. So what I'm looking for, or what I seek right now with this painting, it's that absolute calm essence of what this represents. And I was not able to capture it yesterday, and I might have come across as frustrated, and I was. No, I'm sure I was frustrated. Who am I going to lie to? I was frustrated a lot. I'm back. Are you still in intro mode? Yes, I'm still into intro mode. Yes, you have plenty of time. Of course, it's a whole hour. It has been only 15 minutes or so. So of course I'm in the intro mode. Where would I be? What do you think? I would be painting by now? No way, no way. So this is so good. You know me so well by now. So. And I lost the train of thought, and maybe it's for good. So that's a signal. That's a cue for me to start painting, right? So let's get into it. I started thinking you are imposter if you are painting already. Sorry for interrupting you, but you were talking about colors and light. Yes, there's don't worry, you didn't interrupt. I think that you kind of because I was already. I was not even sitting in the chair that I use for this particular setup. Let me just be in the frame probably for a while. I need to set up this for myself. So don't even worry about the fact that you would be interrupting. This is actually not even an interruption. This is, like I said, this is a painting discourse, so we should all participate in this. I like that idea of me being in that idea of imposter, that someone else is here painting instead of me. So that's really funny. That's cool. Impressionism, post-impressionism, and so on. So, yeah, that's true. I was talking about the color, light, impressionism, and post-impressionism, and it's what I'm trying to arrive to is that even though you might disagree with some of the ideas that I'm proposing here, and I might disagree with yours, it doesn't necessarily mean that they cannot live simultaneously next to each other. It's just a different way of describing perhaps reality around us. Those of you who are more realism oriented, and those of you who are abstract oriented, you have a different ways of describing things. And you know, we all know that yeah, I get what you're saying. Everyone is unique. Yes, everyone is unique. Every one of us has these different you know, quirks, I shall say, and that's okay. That's fine. Like you said, you can use these streams, this channel, more like a I don't know, like an idea, or you know, what I do usually, like an exploration of things that I'm not sure about, and maybe I like them, maybe I don't, but I have to test them first. So so that might be something to think about. That it's not necessarily, you know, the literal meanings of the cup and the apple might be a problem, because you know, it's just that's just a drawing issue. But I was not satisfied with that essence of what it represents, and I think that might be also a problem. This subject matter, I don't want to say that, you know, be overly emotional about that it means to me a lot, but it's part of my culture, and trying to catch that essence of the culture, which is using a cup, it's quite difficult for me, and I'm not on that level most likely yet to be able to do it. And maybe today, pushing and trying to find the lessons over and over again, it's one of those lessons that, you know, it's missing, right? And I can, with certainty, I can say that maybe today is the day it finally clicks. It might be. And here is the important part of this stream, is that it is essential for me to be here today and be ready if it clicks. Because sitting at home thinking about a bad painting Friday and how really bad it is, even though it's not that bad. I mean, you know, it is a cup. So in terms of some kind of a realism, it kind of works. So you probably wouldn't misinterpret this for something else, right? But when it comes to any other value, I don't feel that it possesses any other value. But that's not that it's you know, it doesn't mean that it might not be later on, even today. And if not today, maybe it's going to be tomorrow, maybe it's going to be day after tomorrow. But really thinking about that it's going to happen while I'm sitting at home crying about this, I don't think it's going to happen at that time. So let me just get into it. Let me just start painting and start analyzing my own mistakes, because that's the name of the game today. I'm going to really analyze the problems with my painting and being brutally honest, because that's the only thing that will help in this particular case. And you know, I don't, like I said, I don't have anyone here in a studio with me who would actually critique my work. So it's extra difficult, and if you're not used to it, that might be a big problem. So let me see what I can do today and how far I can push it. It's going to be fun for sure. I'm curious how you solve it. I'll start mine, but it's super dark today. Can't use the daylight alarm because just a second, I can't see. Can't use daylight lamp because it changed my still life's look. Yeah, it's dark here in my studio as well today. It's really really dark. It feels like it's either going to rain or snow, or you know, that kind of in between. That you see little pieces of snow, and then also it rains into it. I don't know what's the exact name for it, but this is a good time for maybe reading and maybe just, you know, studying. Or working digitally as always, because lately that has been something that I really enjoy. So let me first start with addressing some issues. First, what I see immediately, it's just it has no composition. Yeah, same here. It has been raining for a while. Yeah, it's a kind of a it feels it's going to rain. If it's not raining already, I don't know. I can't tell, because sometimes it's like these the results, right? So because I see some areas of a building being wet, so maybe it's already happening. Who knows? So coming back to this, what I'm looking at first is that it has no, like there is. So let me look at this, like really, let's dive deep into my own insecurities with this, right? And let me point it out, the mistakes immediately. So, and we can start with compositional, but yeah, I knew when I went into this, the composition is very weak point. But when you look at this, I have a frame, right, which is right here. And in a second, I'm going to put a new tape around it. I just wanted to, you know, demonstrate a couple things while it's not there. So that's what bothers me right now, that, you know, I don't have a frame, so I can't really frame it visually. So I'm going to reframe it again with a tape, masking tape, because I think it's going to be quicker and easier than trying to paint the dark edges again. That's one thing. A second thing, I might change the composition a little bit. And you might ask, how would I do that? Well, this is the beauty of working on the larger scale, as I mentioned, because I can right now retape it and maybe move it somewhere else, or maybe get it closer. Maybe instead of having a rectangle, maybe I could do a square. That might look a little better, right? And all these things I can do right now only because of I anticipated the problems, right? So I have at least one good thing that I can find here on this painting that I could anchor onto. So remember, there is no end to this madness if you are willing to go the distance, which you might be or you might not be. It's hard to say. You know, some people prefer to do quick sketches and go to another one and start a new one, because they can't stand looking at their own failures. I used to be the same way. I felt like, oh, this is not happening, I have to change it. And then I realized that I'm still missing one important part of that process, and it's to be able to analyze the mistakes while they're happening. So my solution was, okay, I'm going to leave myself a little bit more space for errors and room to errors. So I'm going to be, a little bit more free in a sense, because I can't expect, even though I expected it in my head, and I think that this might be something that it's the most difficult thing for certain personalities that are similar to mine, understand that you might be wrong a lot. And I am wrong a lot here with this particular painting. So I have to take that into consideration, and I have to be honest with myself and be like, all right, I am wrong. I have to fix it. There's no other way. And right now it's the part trying to understand why is it wrong. I can say that there are parts that I really like, and let's say like a really soft edge right here that kind of disappears, and then little lighter frowny face right here, which is kind of cool. Why is it not happening all over the painting? Right? That might be something that I might have to address. Another thing is immediately I can see right now when I enter the studio, I have this, and this is a shape issue. This shape, and when I'm thinking about just purely looking at that shape and then comparing it to a top part right here, they are not corresponding each other correctly. And that might be multiple reasons for that. I can tell immediately that I was trying to do more opening here, not because this should have, because when you think about perspective, this ellipse should be thinner than the bottom one, because, you know, as I go down, I'm getting more and more of that perspective, right? So that kind of it's kind of a breaking that illusion of a three-dimensional space, which it's caused me being completely visually invested into this, and since this is not machine-made but handmade, a problem is that it's not perfectly circular and it doesn't have a perfect shape, right? So I can see a little dip right here because of that imperfection, which is kind of weird when you think about cups, because most of the cups that you are familiar with these days are very symmetrical because machine made them. That very same principle applies to when you go to a museum and look at very old still life paintings. I think I mentioned this previously, that I had to go to a different part of a museum to see not only paintings but also ceramics and, you know, like old furniture and, you know, like whatever different type of art exhibition, to realize that a couple hundred years ago we did not have we didn't possess the ability to machine something perfectly symmetrical. So even like glasses, they were kind of shaped differently. And I always thought that, you know, paintings of Zurbaran were wrong because of how could he, like such a great painter, what couldn't he paint a nice ellipse? He was not painting a exact perfect ellipse. He was painting the still life that was in front of him. And the glasses were crooked. And no one questioned it at that time. We question this these days because of that obsession of, you know, making everything equal and either horizontal or vertical. And, you know, we're trying to put everything into that kind of a minimalist setup. So that's the problem, and it's a problem with my head as well. My brain just like really fighting against that. So, you know, so that's one of the problems that I'm looking at right now, right here, that are happening with this. Other problem is, you know, with the shape of the handle, it's just completely different than what I see there. So that's another problem that I have, which bothers me, right? And then also, let's get into a color. Color is completely wrong. It's all desaturated, but that also might be a problem because of the surface that I'm using, right? So I have to start thinking about that as well. Maybe I have to punch the saturation more in areas where it's saturated, only to compensate for the fact that this board is extremely absorbent, right? So that might be another problem. So there is so many problems that are there, but hear me out here. These are issues that can always, not always, that we can solve, right? So so let's look at that. I'm going to grab my It's really cold here again in the studio. I'm gonna grab my trusted palette knife, and I'm gonna iron this a little bit. I just want to smooth certain areas here. I don't want to give them that much. And when I'm saying when I'm ironing it, I don't scraping a pigment. I'm just making it, like a smoother, so I don't have these ridges there, because it's still semi-wet, the surface. And these are the booby traps. I just touch a little pigment there, and this would be all over the studio. And especially if you work with with students, this will go just all over the studio. And what I mean is, like, on the corner, it's a little white a dab of paint. So this would be all over the studio. Imagine it's a phthalo blue. It's all over the bus or train that I'm taking. It's just the ironing time. Yeah, it's iron time. Yeah, and also booby trap time. So see, like, how much pigment was there. That was a lot. So I'm ironing, especially right now. This area right here, and you can see also I can analyze this because I know my painting process, and that the fact that these areas right here are thick and heavily painted, it's because of my frustration with the pigment. I can tell immediately that, because that's what tends to happen to me when I don't know what to do. I start blasting the pigment on top of a pigment without really thinking about it. It's just, let me cover this bad stuff. Phthalo blue is just like a glitters. Yeah, it gets anywhere and you can get rid of it. Yeah, you cannot. Yeah. You cannot. It's really hard to get rid of it. You're absolutely right. It's a glitter. So I see that. And I might have, break right now this nice kind of a soft edge that I was talking about, but it's all good, and it is good because I am not trying to be, I don't try to save things here right now. I am trying to be honest with what is happening, and I'm trying to correct these mistakes. So thinking that I have to save this edge that I said that I like would be a mistake, even though it might be a cool edge. And if it's a cool edge, I painted it once, I can paint it another time as well. So I'm just ironing this bad boy. And I can tell that this is, this is not really the best surface to work on. You can start to see like these areas. Yeah, it's just pigment. It almost feels like it's dry and slippery at the same time. I don't know how to explain that kind of a phenomenon, but that's what's happening. So yeah, let's just. And I also put my finger into that, one of those pigments. So you can see that this is not my standard setup. Ironing this, trying to get rid of stuff that I don't like. And maybe, by doing this, I will find some areas or some happy accidents. Maybe, who knows? Maybe not. But I'm not, discouraged by this. So it's all good. It's all good. All right, so let's look at this. What am I going to do first? Maybe I should. Would that be a little too crazy? It might be. I was just thinking to cover it all with a light wash to unify the pigments. Because it's kind of like these areas here, because of the board, these are completely dry. These are kind of a sticky. We're going to test that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just have fun. You know, I have these brushes, and you know, who cares? It's, you know, it's fun. So I'm just going to, you know, do a light warm wash on top of this, just to, I don't know, maybe a little bit of this. I might have been a little too much. Yeah, that's cool. Why not? That's fun. So, Bed Painting Friday, a lot of experimentation. It's going to take place again here. So, why not to do this? Something radical. And the reason why I'm doing this, because I felt that maybe, you know, my thought process would be just like a really weird approach. You know, like, what would be the good example of what I'm trying to do right now? It's like, you know, when you go to a, like when you lose something, and you're searching throughout the whole house through everything, and you just simply can't find it. And then there's that one person that always tells you that, well, try search for it in a place where you wouldn't necessarily, like you wouldn't, in a place that it's not supposed to be, right? So this is what I did. Like it's obviously this is not, probably this is the worst thing that I could do, obviously. So let me just push this, wrong idea, and let me make sure that it's wrong idea. All right, there, I did it. I did it. Okay, and let me just right now maybe unify that a little bit. But immediately what I like, it's that texture there. So, okay, all right, we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere with this. Like, check this out right now. I created like weird transitions within the same, I color harmonize this in a sense. And right now, all the you know, I made this like a value painting right now. That's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did. But it created these, like, ironing plus like a thicker paint created ridges, and these ridges right now here, I hope that my head is not in the way. Like, where would okay, my head could go all the way. I'm just trying to, I'm looking at the camera so I can go all the way. Okay, so because I have to get closer. So these ridges right here that I created are very similar to that kind of a wood, kind of a grain imperfection. So instead of painting every individual defect of that, you know, process of, you know, making that cup, by random chance, I arrived to this, which is kind of cool. These are the happy accidents. This wouldn't happen if I sit at home and not being present here. I immediately can tell that when I put it together, that this and this right now, it's the same value, and I can tell that this bottom part needs to be lighter. So I have two options. I can either start wiping this away and bringing it up a little bit. Or so that's like an immediate idea that I have right now. It's going to stay there. Still, it's going to be slightly that kind of an orangey, uh, uh, orangey feel to it. So it's still going to be harmonized. It's just going to get a little lighter. All right, and right now I can start building on top of this a little bit. I also like what's happening here. It almost looks like a broken, um, um, not broken, like a little destroyed wall. And not the destroyed, it's imperfect wall, right? So back in the days, and that's why I put that kind of a fabric there, because I wanted to emulate that when they were building walls, they were not perfectly smooth. They had just bumps and things because they were not thinking about, oh, I need to build a perfectly smooth wall because you know, people are gonna come and they're going to tell me that, you know, I didn't use a level properly. It was more, I have to create a barrier between me and the nature, so the nature is not going to eat me while I sleep. So they were not really concerned about certain, you know, aesthetics necessarily. I mean, sure that they try to make it level, but so it doesn't, you know, so it doesn't fall down. But since most of the houses were built out of stone, you couldn't, or you know, it was really difficult to create a smooth walls. And you can still see this. Like this is one of the things that I have a problem with when I watch movies, is that, you know, unless you really film this in the castle, you can tell that, you know, they just made perfectly vertical walls. And it's just, once you see it or know about it, and since I have that non-profit organization, I study more and more, you know, the castle building and the stone building and masonry kind of a way to it. And you simply, unless we talk about, you know, like a real craftsmanship for the richest, you know, for palaces, not necessarily for castles, because castles were fortresses in a sense. That's what I'm thinking about, fortress, not castle. They were not concerned about perfectly smooth walls because that was not an objective. So I'm starting to get these, you know, imperfections there, which I really like. So that's a good thing. See, we're starting to, well, we're getting somewhere. And right now, I can continue working on top of it. So let me think. Instead of trying to right now paint that difficult shape of a cup, I'm going to go back to the idea of, okay, I'm going to paint a negative shape and compose the negative shape and try to fit it in. And when I say negative shape, I should be a little bit more precise, and I should say, maybe it's time for me to think about the light again. I'm back with the texture. I'm starting to, you know, seeing these like little things right here. Maybe this could go a little lighter as well. What do you say? Right? This is not necessarily the most impressionistic way of working, but it's kind of giving me something new. So it's not alla prima, and you wouldn't be able to create this alla prima. It's just that simply doesn't work that way. You can create this only by layering, I think. I might be wrong. So, and you might disagree with me, and this would be a time to, you know, to start. If you have some ideas or some comments, this is really the time to time for you to shine. So let me do this. Let me just maybe get a little bit more into that. Let me slow down, because yesterday I was really quick and hasty, and I thought that the speed is going to give me, you know, some immediate result because I underestimated the complexity of a simple idea. So let me slow down maybe, and let's try to think of these pigments and colors and saturations and lights. Plus, I'm working with these bed painting Fridays. I'm trying to work with really simple palette, which is just earth tones. I have my white, I have my yellow, ochre, sienna. This is English red, cadmium, and I have a brown, raw umber, and ivory black. I don't think I need more. Probably a alizarin crimson to add into mixtures because I want to pump the saturation a little bit. So I might go and squeeze that alizarin there. And I'm not going to be that necessarily. I have nothing to add. In fact, wouldn't have thought coloring the painting with brown orange to kind of break it up. I wouldn't recommend you to do this unless you are really, really convinced that you can bring it back. Because you would be disappointed, as I was multiple times. But, you know, I saw some glimpses of this work in my paintings and, you know, combine it with ideas of experimenting. So let's do that. Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, you know, this is a bad painting Friday. So in bad painting Friday, you should do it. But not in your commissioned paintings. Then after you test it with bad painting Friday, then you put it into your commissions. Or if you really trust yourself, go for it in commissions. And maybe I'm saying that you shouldn't put it there. And I'm in that kind of like a philosophical outrage with myself right now because what's the difference? The difference is, I mean, you're still a painter, you're still painting. It's just you created artificial boundary for yourself. That can be good. Could it be, right? I don't think it is. But again, we might differ in opinion with this. And trust me, I had a lot of conversation about this with other people. And maybe this is a time for me and for you even, just what do you think? Commissions aren't that. Okay, so you wouldn't experiment with commissions. Okay, I see. I see. So it's just me being, you know, stubborn and stupid, and for a commission do a Frankenstyle. Okay, so it's me. All right. Noted. It's just for some reason my brain doesn't want to work that way. People around me told me because I'm a narcissistic, self-centered piece of tool. I think that just kind of sums it up. I don't want to go into curse words. What I'm trying to do right now, I'm trying to create, I'm going to work a lot on the palette today because I want to get into that color. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. Yeah, but you know, I am really stretching myself extremely thin with these because it requires enormous amount of resources, right? So so it's really taking a toll on my bank account. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, because I don't want to talk about my bank account because it's gonna get, I should probably, use dark black thing to cover it all and call it my bank account and sell it for $100 million. Maybe I should do that. So what I'm doing right now, I am trying to get kind of a lighter value there. And I'm squinting my eyes and I'm trying to analyze that. Because obviously this is the darkest area. So this needs to be like really, really dark. I mean the apple. So, and I don't want this to be a dark painting because, I could make this, dark and start putting, like a light areas there. No, I want to be light and bright. As I see it, right? Not right now, but when I was setting it up yesterday, because it was, I know that feeling. Yeah, I think everybody knows that feeling. But so going back to painting, what I did was I went with ideas that Sorolla proposed, or the way how Sorolla was thinking about that, or how he mixed his pigments according to again his disciples or students rather, and then it was passed to me through Ron Lemon. I mentioned him multiple times here in the stream. And it's that, thinking about mixing even opposed pigments, like red pigment with the green pigment, if they have a same value, they're just not gonna get muddy. So I'm getting a little bit more technical with my pigments, and I wanna keep them fresh and saturated, or chromatic rather. So let me just, this might be a little too dark, right? So, but the reason why this feels too dark, because I'm looking at it's because this is too light. So let's see if I not necessarily too light, it's just a lot of, it's starting to go the correct direction. It is desaturated right now, and I don't want to use this pigment, this pile of pigment, and continue everywhere. I'm going to adjust it a little bit because this is way more saturated, way more chromatic. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that. And you see me that I am mixing with palette knife, and the reason why I'm mixing with palette knife is because it can get, I can use clean pigments all the time, because wiping your palette knife clean, it's very easy compared to a brush. So let's make that variation. And I'm using these soft fan brushes that I used yesterday, because why not? They were already dirty, right? So I'm bringing a little bit of the light area, and immediately I'm starting to notice something, that I can actually transition slowly into this and create a soft transition. So there, and it slowly changes and shifts in between, and I can right now work abstractly here with this and create very subtle shifts and changes that would stay flat but gives a little bit more interest. Cool. Not bad, not bad. And I'm going a little bit again to the darker, maybe here in the corner. get rid of that warmth. But I still wanted to have that warmth there, but not as strong. So when you get closer to this, you're gonna see it's kind of a feeling of pointillism there almost. Weird, my painting from yesterday, in most areas, they're almost touch dry, despite the thick layer I did. I can't think, oh, I know why I used older paintings to mix with them, and they are already starting to thicken up. That might be the way. Never mind. Here is a, these are these beautiful kind of experiments that you should record for yourself, whether it's, whether you're going to remember it or you're going to write it down, because this might be useful, in the moment when you will need them, as I needed that raw umber adding into my whites to dry it fast. With that, let me just soften this first, so I have a nice kind of a soft edge here. Cool. That I used with the last painting, that last commission, that folk musician. And then I think that this could be softened by simply maybe a little darker, touch warmer value there. This might work. Right, so slowly getting it a little bit more. And I still feel this is way too desaturated, so I have to bring the saturation up a little bit more. But I think we're getting towards the right idea here. So let's bring the saturation up a little bit. So I'm having this little bit more saturated mixture right here, which is kind of slightly cooler, and I have to grab my where are you? Whoa. Okay, I have to stand up. I don't know if this is going to be in the way. Is it or is it not? Oh, it's going to be down. There. All right, so moving along. Not in the way for you. Yeah, well, it might not be in the way, but the problem is that I might actually spill it all over, as you might know me, and if you've seen the stream a couple times, you know that problems are going to happen sooner or later. Anyway, I'm continuing with the idea of trying to make this little bit more a saturated. I want to bring the light there. So again, I'm gonna use my palette knife to mix saturated area. So this is just a lighter value. You might not be able to see it because it's no. You can still see it. So this is a lighter value. You can see it immediately, but I need to make it more saturated, right? So right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a yellow ochre. I'm going to mix it with white. Yeah, this is a saturated. And I just have to use a cadmium because I don't think I would be able to get that saturation. Because I want to go fairly light. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to mix the value with this. With that gray pigment there that I have there. And the reason why I want to mix them, because I don't want it to, it's a black with white, and if I add a yellow ochre into it, it's going to turn green, and I don't want to keep it, I don't want to have it green, I want to have it light. So right now, and this is the test that you should do at home, how much yellow you can add into your black before it turns completely green. So that will be one way, think about that. And another thing is that because I work with layers, I can actually make it a really yellow and then come with a little bit desaturated pigment there. This might be way too bright, but since I already have a pigment there, they're going to mix to each other slightly. Hopefully. This is a really bad brush, it's creating this kind of a... And I'm looking on that area right there, which has a little bit of that, kind of a reflection into that. And then connect it together. So I'm getting a little bit better there. And this is what yesterday I was just, I don't know, maybe too hasty with this. Fresh pigment laid on the top, and it's going to be like this right now, and that's okay, that's enough. So right now I created a little softer edge right here, a little lighter area, and it has kind of a hard edge here, so all the edges with this is going to be soft, because I don't want to have hard edges there at all. Why? Because that's cloth that it's underneath. That's not the focal point of a painting. Hard edges are going to be here, maybe here, right? Or maybe here, depends on the composition. So I'm somewhere right now. And I started with the warm wash, and I'm keying this, and I'm working with the cool pigments right now because they're going to show differently. On that orange kind of underpainting, you might call it even. So I'm going to clean my brush again because I don't want to have my pigments I don't want to have, I'm going to mix a different color. Of course I spilled it on the floor. I knew it. I'm going to have a different color, and I don't want to pollute that different color with existing a pigment that is in my brush. And this is where this is getting really, I would say technical, but maybe right now it's time for you to join again that discourse. And how do you treat these things? not necessarily these problems, but these issues with you know, polluting colors, or colors, you know, getting. I don't really like that expression of my pigments are getting chalky. It's getting chalky only because, you know, you don't have either right value or right saturation. So, and this, you know, I have to soften it. So I'm just going to make a really soft transition with my finger because you know how much I like to paint with my fingers. So this is all going to be smooth and kind of a mushy. But since there is a underpainting underneath, you can still see differences there. And not only underpainting, you have like a ridge right here that I created with the brush. And right now I can even go further. Remember I was talking about scratching, so I can start scratching out certain areas if I so choose, right? Okay, so that would be that. I could actually start making this area a little lighter. But since this is warmer, I want to keep that warmth, right? So I'm going to go a little bit more towards orange. So I can still use this mixture, which is yellow. I can start adding a red into it. And I'm using cadmium red because it's lighter than English red and it's warmer, so it's going to mix a little better. You can start actually adding it right into it if you want to, because I want to create orange. I don't need necessarily a transition right now between I don't need necessarily a transition because I'm not mixing two pigments that would, let's say I wanted to have a bright yellow kind of a pigment here, or color, I'm sorry, color, hue rather. If I were to mix it with black and white, it would turn to green. I don't want it to be green, I want it to be yellow or yellowish or bright actually. I'm not thinking about being this yellow, I'm thinking about this being saturated. I want to turn orange, so I'm just going to go immediately into that. So I want a kind of orangish to punch the saturation on the cap a little bit more. Right, so in areas right here, because it seems like it's too dark. I think it's too dark. Not the way for me, just be careful. Yeah, okay, that might be a solution. But what if you want to be expressive with your brush? Like, let's say I just want to do like I'm just saying, like, what if I want to do this, right? I think I need a little bit more, little lighter value, and I want to go a little bit more desaturated. So instead of adding yellow into this, I'm gonna add a little bit red and white, because white automatically make it not only desaturated but also cooler and also lighter in the value. So you can see, like, I have like a transition here, and I'm gonna be working with the palette right now a lot, more than I did yesterday, which probably was a mistake. And, you know, I'm analyzing my own mistakes here. So this is what's happening. These are the mistakes that I have to take into consideration. So I'm slowly lining this, and I can see that the lightest area is somewhere around here, probably. And it's turning it towards kind of a reddish hue, which is not really what I'm looking for. I need to go a little bit more desaturated and a little bit more orange. So I'm gonna go into this mixture that I have right here in the middle, which is kind of orange. I'm so sad that you can't paint wet on wet today. This was sorry, this was unexpected. Well, it was unexpected, but it's still, you know, I'm going to be painting wet in the moment when I start. You know, this is just the first adjustment. Another pass is definitely going to be wet in wet. So don't worry, it's going to be wet in wet. And I'm going to desaturate it a little bit. And you can see, I don't know if this is visible on camera, but I can see that pigment still in there. It's not perfectly mixed because these right now they're kind of syncing and working together. I highly encourage you to do this. Mix the same value of, let's say, yellow ochre and I don't know, whatever other, and blue. And when you, or actually the ideal, it's a red and green. If you match the light value, you can start mixing them together, and you're gonna see red and green mixed without losing its intensity. It's kind of a crazy idea, but it works. And don't take my word for it, just check it with your palettes. Yeah, I totally planned it to stay wet today from yesterday. It's going to be, like I said, you're going to start painting into it, and in a few minutes you're going to be wet immediately. So don't even worry about that. My still light study, that is. Yeah. It's so I have a little brighter, a little more saturated pigment. So let's see what's going to happen. Well, we're getting closer. It's still not where I want to be. So I'm going to mix further. So I should probably use little, I don't know, maybe I'll push it here, and let's see when they bump into each other here down. And still, I'm using that texture from yesterday, or the little ironing that is there. So I don't want to lose that part. That's for sure. Right, and I'm slowly bringing it towards. I only think that it might be in areas like around the core, like here, it again might turn into, instead of thinking that this is a cooler area right here, I'm gonna make a desaturated area. So I'm looking at this pigment value, I'm gonna check if this next to it, look, like if it's blue, it's too big of a jump. So what I'm gonna do, I know it's blue and I know that this is orange, I'm gonna mix them together just a little bit. And then they're going to just turn into that kind of a mixture of blue and orange together. I know you cannot see it on the camera. If you test this, if you put the same value of your blue with the same value of the orange and put them together, they're going to mix nicely, and they're not going to look like like mud. When you talk about red and green, I would think it depends on which pigment they are. Well, that's an interesting point. And I should say yes. And I would say yes if I haven't seen differently. That's what I have to say. And this is going to sound really stupid, and not even stupid, ignorant from me. If you see master mix it with really sensible touch and a really keen eye and keen observation to value, it doesn't matter what pigments you have. It simply does not matter. It does not affect anything. And I need to go a little bit more towards the orange, because right now it looks like a baby pink. And here's the thing, test it. Definitely test it. Really go into this and test that theory for yourself. This is a Bad Painting Friday. Grab your pigment and do this. I'm just going to demonstrate that. And that's practically, you can, maybe some of you who are right now watching, you can help me out with this, and you might be a little bit more familiar with Munsell color space. It's that idea. And remember, you have to have a clean surface. When you think about your painting, always make sure that you have a clean surface. So you see, I didn't mix into this. I'm slowly moving and I'm trying to use my palette a little bit more. I was thinking more about transparency versus opacity, but yeah, in the end, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, right, in this case, what kind of opacity that is, because I have one unifier, and that's my white. So I am grabbing I grab a titanium white, which is opaque. And automatically, whatever transparent pigment you're going to mix into that opaque pigment doesn't matter. It's going to turn itself opaque. And what I'm saying is that, do I have some green around? I'm just going to grab that green and see whether or not this is going to work. And like I said, you should really, really. Or maybe I could use, that would be a good example. Maybe I should use this raw umber that I have here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of raw umber into it, which is kind of greenish, or green enough. For this demonstration. So I'm going to mix, and you can see, oops, that was not pure white. And you're going to see that, I hope that my big head is not in the way. So right now it looks like a gray. And you might be right that it's gray. Let me just mix. That's a little too much. And I'm always wiping my brush, my palette knife. But when I put, and I don't know if this is actually even visible on camera. Let me mix it first, and then I'm going to. So right now, when I'm mixing the ivory with white, it's turning completely blue. And you can see next to it, suddenly the gray color is starting to sing more towards, and I use word sing, more towards green. I'm trying to just spread it there. So you have really, when I squint my eyes, I can't see the difference between, or the difference in the value between this and this. So creating these two pigments next to each other, pushing these two pigments next to each other, it's going to create a interest immediately in a flat surface. So something that is flat, suddenly, right, in the, let's say, wall behind, and we talk about Vermeer a lot, that Vermeer used this kind of a phenomena in his backgrounds and everywhere actually, but in the backgrounds is beautifully, you can observe it, how he transitioned and how he moved from one way to another and completely shifts the color. So if you would put some, like, you know, let's say white paper in between, right? So some white, like let's say that you put white paper in between when you look on his pictures, or put it into a software and just, you know, cut it and put little strip of his painting from one side to another side, you would see a complete shift with the colors, but you wouldn't be able to see it as he moves from left to right. It's very difficult. It's just, he understands minute and really, really small differences into that, oops, brush dropped again, really small differences into between values and saturation and also intensity of a pigment, or as Munsell refers to it, what's the word that I'm looking for? Chroma. I'm sorry, it took me a while to think about it. Chroma is kind of a crazy, how would I put this? Crazy. It's extremely important when it comes to Impressionism. But I think even when you look at Rembrandt's painting, and I'm going to be, this is going to be rant about Rembrandt again, but Rembrandt used it into perfection. He couldn't, it's like he didn't understand what the chroma is in terms of physics or how we perceive it, but he was sensitive to it. And that's why his paintings are so good. Right? So when I'm thinking about the chroma and I'm analyzing the chroma, it goes from it works also with the value. So something that is a little bit more chromatic doesn't necessarily mean that it's lighter. You can find the chroma into dark values. And this exercise is actually finding and looking for the high chroma in light values. Okay, speaking about this, so this is right now looks green because of in comparison to something. So if I want to mix this green with the red, I'm going to get muddy pigment. But I want this green, that is right here, to be more saturated. So I'm going to saturate it with red. I wouldn't do it that way, but it is possible. Why I wouldn't do it that way? Because like you mentioned, and that's the full context of what we talked about, I would probably start actually making this chromatic probably with light, cadmium lemon, because it leans towards the green way more. So it's not going to change the actual hue as much, but it's going to bring only chroma up. Whereas red, it's definitely going to change that hue a little bit, but it's also going to increase the chroma. And the reason why I wouldn't use right now not refusing, but I'm not using a cadmium lemon, it's because if it's a limited palette, cadmium lemon wouldn't be on the limited palettes. On limited palettes was only yellow, red, which would be vermilion, but I substituted for a cadmium red light, yellow ochre, and black, and that's it. So I wouldn't have, it would be difficult because this yellow ochre, it's not as powerful, it's not as chromatic as this cad red or vermilion for that matter. So the same thing, I'm picking up the fresh pigment and I'm automatically I went to make it lighter, but I don't need to make it lighter that much, right? So that was too much, because these two pigments automatically giving me a more saturated pigment. So I am receiving, with my eyes perceiving a, right now they are almost the same value, but look how much more saturated it is, how strongly it affects the area. And I right now can mix these two pigments, and I'm not gonna add like a whole batch, but I can start slowly. Right, I have a pigment right here that is desaturated and green, and I'm gonna start bringing slowly with the little pieces the saturation into it. I'm not changing necessarily value. I am trying not to change the hue. Of course, the hue is going to change slightly because it's a different pigment into it. But I'm trying to bump slowly, meticulously saturation of that pigment. And I'm doing this because I don't have any tools, but it's slowly turning towards the reddish, but I'm not getting muddy, I'm getting a little bit more saturated. Every another step is going to bring it a little bit more saturated. So that's something that I think it's very important when it comes to understanding your pigments. It might sound, what would be the word? Counterintuitive? To do this, perhaps? I'm not sure, might be. But it works. Trust me, it works actually quite well when it comes to this. And especially if you have a limited palette. And when you look at work of Rembrandt, oh my God, you're going to start seeing these things. How creative he can get with these adjustments. It's really difficult to even. It's difficult to unsee that. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So, and this is, I don't know if this is, I have to go check, and I'm moving towards my, I don't think you can see it very well on the palette. Maybe I should do like a little demo when I have it on my main palette. And I've done this multiple times. So, if but if you're interested, yeah, we can do a little exercise on these. Because this is what helps you. This is what helps you to understand your pigments a little better, or on another level, rather. That's what I should say. It's not necessarily the only way to think about pigments, but this is what helps me, on top of already creating that kind of a layering effect when it comes to. Mixing, optical mixing, rather. So yeah, let me get back to actually a primary thing. Or you know what? I should probably get a. I'm not sure right now. Am I still online? I hope I am, because I had some kind of a glitch. I was looking at my monitor and I couldn't see that. Hopefully, I'm still online, and if not, I apologize. It's going to be posted on YouTube on the channel, so you're not going to miss anything. There's actually the whole library of stuff that we do here, so feel free to browse there. Okay, continuing with this idea. So I need to go lighter and a little bit more saturated in this area right here. This is like an area of high saturation. Let me just point it out. This is the area of high saturation in that cup right here. And then of course, this is a super saturated around here. Right, so that's how and also this little area right here, it's a saturated. That's my analysis. Everything else around, it's desaturated. Maybe just a little bit here, right? Like just a touch here. Saturated chroma, like a really high chroma. Munsell, that's what I'm referring to, or that's what the discussion started with. I'm still online? Okay, cool. The question for you guys, does this make sense, or should I go deeper into this? Are you interested more into understanding what, like the process of thinking, or should I continue painting? Because I can do a little more of these adjustment if you like to. Because this is really, Like a simple idea, it's very complicated to achieve. It takes a lot of time. And like I said, when someone like real professional, like not real professional, I'm lying to you, someone who is extremely, extremely skilled with mixing pigments, like Rembrandt or Sorolla or Manet, you start seeing these slow transitions there. And they are so imperceivable that, and that's what creates that easiness on your eyes that, oh, I can do this. Of course I can do this. There's just like one color, and it isn't. I don't want to be, I don't want to be mean to you, but it isn't. It just seemed that way. It seems so simple because there is enormous amount of knowledge behind understanding of a pigment. And, people like Sorolla for sure, and Monet, Claude Monet, they already had also a technical backing, or not technical, how would I put this? They had also a physics behind this. It was more understanding of how our eye works, or better understanding of how our eye works. Better understanding of physics of light, and it's not that before, like a long time, people thought that actually the objects are radiating light towards our eyes. We didn't understand that actually the light hits the surface and reflects back to us, right? And these were mostly philosophical. Later on, they just get more accurate because of the technical advance, or that industrial revolution that pushed everything forward. Enlightenment, you might call it as well, with new thoughts and ideas, and so on and so forth. I don't want to go into that because that's a philosophy class, I guess. But I like to apply these things into painting and knowledge. It makes it a little bit more interesting for me, especially. I'm going back to this, and I'm trying to adjust this with my with the negative space. So all this have to be desaturated in order for this to be saturated, right? And it's your choice. I'm right now looking at what is in front of me. If you're working from your imagination, we work digitally together. We can actually switch to digital when the light goes completely black, and we can try to paint this digitally. I would just paint this with the value, and then I would just move with the sliders. It would be easier. Here I have to mix every movement of the slider. I have to actually physically mix, and I have to understand how to mix it most efficiently without losing any information in that, right? So that's why adding red into that green wouldn't be the best idea. It is possible because of a limited palette. But I would probably go and pump up the saturation with the yellow. So when you see me bringing yellow into mixture, it not necessarily means that I want to turn it a little bit more towards yellow. I want to punch up the saturation. I'm talking too much again. So you should stop me, because I'm going to talk your ears off. Okay, all right, I saw the signal. I have a... Okay, all right, my ears are already broken anyway, so it's all good. Man, you're making me laugh, and I know that, this is starting to be our personal joke. I don't think that anybody else understands what we're laughing about. So it's our personal thing. Good, I like it. So let me bring that saturation here a little bit. Yeah, right. It is personal joke. So, and then desaturation a little bit in this area, right here. And you can see how wrong value is going to destroy everything, because I was again hasty. So what's the next move? So this is correcting my own mistakes. What's the move? I'm just going to, I don't like that pigment, so I'm just going to put it away. I'm going to scrape it. Right, so there's that. If indeed I can explain to others about that, here it is. It is your choice. It's up to you. So if you choose to explain why we're laughing at this, you are more than welcome to do it. But you know, if you want to, we can keep it as our inner circle. Maybe there's going to be for inner circle people a joke, to keep it as a sign that you've been here for a while, struggling with painting and painting alongside. Yeah, for anyone who's confused, I'm deaf and use live transcribe to understand what he's saying. Hence the inside joke. Yeah. All right. Cool. I was thinking about you the other day, because I was searching and I found out, and we might test this actually if you want to, that actually Twitch has some add-ons that I can add to a stream that could actually do that you could turn on in the Twitch, the closed captions. What do you think? Should I add it to a stream? Would you be interested into this, or you are completely cool with using it through? You mentioned Windows, I believe. Just a thought, Yeah, if you want to, but I think my live transcribe is even more accurate. Last time I used Twitch caption, it made many mistakes. Okay, so let's keep it that way. If you, because I'm pretty sure that you have a way more experience with that than I do. But if anything, I was thinking about you. I was trying to make sure that you can enjoy it. So if you tested already, then we're good here. And I'm softening these edges. I want this to disappear, that edge, into a background. And the reason is because when I squint my eyes, I can barely see the edge, especially right here. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping from one topic to another, but I just don't want to confuse others what I'm doing here. So it's really, I'm just slowly pushing it that way. And I'm still thinking about a saturation, and maybe I should push that, not saturation, but value right here, because I think it should go lighter. And the question would be right now, is it as light as here, or is it darker? Right, so that's a value question, and I'm pretty sure that it's darker. I'm convinced that it's darker. So we have a shadow that's right here, and then this needs to be darker. So I'm looking at this mixture right here, right? That's my starting point, and if I place it here, I think that that's the right right value to go there. But I can, it's more like a. It's more like maybe I think I could go even darker. I'm squinting my eyes. I think I can go darker. And the reason why I can go darker, because I have a shadow right here. And then I have a value that is right here that's kind of saturated. And when I squint my eyes, it's kind of jumped to this. So if I want to keep the relationship here between these throughout the cup, this should go even darker. This should be even darker than this, because I can actually place it there for you to see. This is way too light, but not way too light, but it could go a little bit darker. I think it might be like one value lower. So I'm thinking somewhere like when you think about like numbers. So the number 1 it's black, and number 10 it's white. So it's somewhere in the middle, like a halfway point. So, and this is going to be very warm right now. So if I hit this there, it's going to be blue immediately. I don't want it to be blue. I want it to be slightly warmer. So I could add a little bit of raw umber into it to warm it up, but it's darker value than my raw sienna, so I'm going to add the raw sienna there, which is going to desaturate it, because raw sienna, it's kind of like an orangey, depends on the brand, but it's kind of it's kind of orange. I think of it as an orange. So it's desaturating my pigment, because I have a blue and orange, and I'm pushing it again, and I'm pushing them against each other. This might be a little too dark, though. I really like how your painting looks today. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. All good here. I only want Windows 11 to add audio to describe what's happening, like laughing. That would be perfect. That's the. I don't think that. This is too dark, maybe. I don't think that Twitch does that either. I don't think that's what's happening. I'm sorry about that. But like I mentioned that, you know, I always point out that I'm laughing for you there. So I tested, I put the brush stroke. I don't like that brush stroke. And here is another lesson for all of us. If you don't like that brush stroke, just put it away. It's not supposed to be there, just put it away. So I'm repainting it with another one. And I can tell that this looks right now really, really too blue. Again, I'm stepping back. So I want to make it slightly warmer. And it might be because of all the surrounding areas, but I want it to be slightly warmer. So I'm going to add a little bit of that raw sienna into it. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, because we use a lot of yellow ochre. And right now, again, I'm going to wipe this away a little bit, because I don't want to, I want to have a clean a pigment right there. So yeah, this is better. We're better here. And also I'm correcting the shape, right? So right now it almost, when I squint, it almost jump into background without the question. So that's cool. And let's connect it with this. And as I go higher up, I can go lighter. And maybe a little cooler. Just to create a kind of an interesting transition. And it's going to go cooler, warmer, cooler, warmer, cooler, warmer. And again, softening that edge right here. That's for sure. With, as you know, with my fingers. All right. So I'm thinking what to do next. I could maybe go a little bit more further here, because I think this is too dark. So we can start lightening this up a little bit. not the best way to do it, but it's going to work for now. It's going to be working for now. And you can see how from warm, very, very warm painting, we're slowly, very slowly, step by step, we're making something that it's that's starting to have that warm and cool transitions. We're not there yet. We're not even close to be there, but we're slowly adjusting it. Maybe even lighter here, and maybe I can lighten this a little bit more. So I would reserve the darkest areas right here for that apple that I have there. So let me clean my brush again, because that's something, again, have to clean my brush, have to make sure that these mixtures are fresh. And also you can see the whole my palette, it's completely used. So I'm going to scrap all the pigments, and it's a lot of it, and you can see how much it is. So I can make a space for mixtures. You can see how much pigment I scraped. I'm just going to get rid of it because I still want to have a clean mixtures. This is just a black and white, so I can keep that one. I want to have a clean mixtures. And this is something that you would see with Impressionists. They would never allow for a dirty mixture. So let me clean the palette. Don't be lazy. And this is a small palette, so I have to clean it more often. And I want to get rid of, that excess pigment, so it takes a while to clean it. And this is the reason why I, when I was, a couple of years ago, it would take me like hours to convince myself to clean it. And right now we have a clean pigment, a clean palette, and we are not going to be thinking and keying everything to my dirty palette, but I'm again going to look at what I see there, and I'm going to try to mix a proper value, proper saturation, and adjust it that way. Because the more you mix pigments into each other, the closer are getting on values and saturation. Also, your eye is getting used to seeing this, and I want to see a fresh thing. That's why when I look, I try to look away all the time, right? And you should stand up and take a break for 5 minutes every half an hour, just to relax your eyes, because they're starting to get familiar with what they see. And everything is just getting closer and closer to each other, because it seems wrong, or it would seem wrong. Let's say that if I don't know, like there is a really high saturation right here and a really light value, I can put it there just to show you what I mean with this first mixture, let's say. So I feel like it's a value. If I would look and think about this in terms of like value scale, again, 10 being the darkest and 1 being the lightest, it would be, well, value 2, 2.5, maybe somewhere there. You got to zoom in. I really like how you're, oh, thanks for the reminder. I got too zoned in. Oh, okay, all right. You got too zoned in. Okay, I was like, what? I read this is when the problem when you're turning your head back to screen that is far away. You're trying to read the words. Speaking of that, are you well hydrated? Yes, I am. I am drinking. I have my tea right here. But thank you for asking. or thank you for letting me know. Hydration levels are high. The problem is that I'm getting cold here in the studio. I'm drinking today oolong tea that tastes like a caramel. I can't help myself, it tastes like a caramel. Yeah, I have a live caption right next to my painting. All right. Caramel. Yeah. It's a caramel. Yeah, caramel, tasty. Like a, I don't know how to describe it. Going back to that. So actually, what are you guys drinking right now? That's the good question. What's in your hydro flask or whatever young cool kids are calling it these days? So I'm looking for a saturation, for high saturation, and this is actually a good even. Nothing. I should make myself some tea. Yeah, you should make yourself your tea. Make some. Be right back. Okay. Meanwhile, you're back. I'm just gonna show you one thing, that when we talk about these pigments and how important it is actually to understand the pigments that you're purchasing, and if you're getting a value for your money. Using higher quality pigments, it should be mandatory. And you can see right now the differences between my pigments. So this is a different brand of yellow ochre that I haven't used before. It's really, I don't want to say bad, but it doesn't seem as saturated as the ones that I tend to use. And I'm just give you an example. This one is a different one. So I squeeze right next to it. Check this out. This is a different brand, and I don't care, what brands you use. I'm not going to tell you which brands I use, because I don't want you to necessarily. This is not a channel about, oh, you have to have these pigments, these brushes, and this canvas to paint like this. No, this is about your own exploration. But since we're speaking about pigments, like look at this one, the difference between these two. I don't know if you can see it on the, well, you can't. I'm sorry, but I can tell that this one is way more towards the orange and higher saturation, and this one is a little bit more towards a green and a little less saturated. That's what I see, and I think that right now you can see it as well. But when you put them next to each other, they're the same value. You can barely see the difference between them. And having multiple different pigments, multiple different tubes, manufacturers, and experiment with them. So let's check this out. I have my white, so I'm going to use this one and mix it with a white. And I'm looking for the value for that particular part of the painting right here. So I need value number 2.5, as I mentioned, right? So maybe this would be that one. But the problem is that creating this value just really destroyed the saturation of that pigment. So this is a time where Impressionists would bring a cadmiums. And I'll show you why. And I have this other pigment right here next to it. Let's mix the same value. So let's add a little bit of white into it. And you're going to see that this is even worse when it comes to saturation. So this is even, I don't want to say that color, but it's even less chromatic. Right? So just to put them next to each other. You can barely see the, I don't know if I, how could I, maybe here if I put it, I don't know. I don't know if you'd be able to see it, because these are really, really small, minute adjustments, small, minute shifts in chroma and hue. So, but I'm liking this orangier a little bit more because I need a little bit more of that red. So other thing that I can do right now, I can bring that red into it that I have there, right? The cadmium red, because cadmium red might bring a little bit more saturation, maybe, I don't know. Because I have to match the values again, right? So I don't know if that cadmium red, yeah, it's probably not going to hold its saturation that much. If it gets lighter, unfortunately, because it dies out and this is really desaturated. So I don't think that this is going to help saturation necessarily. It might help a hue a little bit more, right, than the saturation. And speaking about that, you know, speaking about the pigment, so this would be, I don't have it there. I don't have maybe nice, kind of a fresh, clean. And this is a cadmium yellow, like immediately higher saturation. It just thinks differently, right? So, but the problem is that it's a cadmium lemon, so it leans more towards green. If I start adding the red into it, it's still going to turn orange, but I'm getting the same mixture as with just a simple, well, maybe slightly higher saturation, I can still do it, but you can see that I arrived to the same mixture as almost the same. It's a slightly bigger, slightly higher chroma, I'm sorry. Well, saturation and chroma are almost interchangeable in this case, right? So well, ideally what I would use here would be probably cadmium yellow dark or cadmium yellow medium. Let me just for illustration to put it, if I even have that kind of a pigment, let me put it on the, I have a cadmium yellow light. I think that's a cadmium yellow lemon. That's the one that I used right now. I'm searching through my pigments. Well, Indian yellow might be something that it's going to punch it, so maybe we can use that to get a saturation. Cadmium yellow medium. Okay, so let's see the differences, because this is very important when it comes to understanding of your pigments, right? And since we are working with the saturation, we started that conversation. Well, saturation chroma. So let me put it there. Just a touch. So this would be a cadmium orange. I'm sorry, cadmium yellow medium. It's really orange for me. Not for me on this palette compared to other pigments. And then I also have a Indian yellow here, which is kind of important pigment when it comes to this. That's going to actually solve a lot of saturation problems, because it's like a transparent super saturator for my pigments. Made myself a fancy tea that comes mixed with mint, mint and lemongrass. Oh, okay, lemongrass, and other things I might have forgotten. Okay, so it's a little bit. How would we call it? Because this is this a. I don't think you call this a green tea because it has no green actual green tea. Was it like herbal tea? Would that be appropriate way to say it? I love Indian yellow because it doesn't affect your value if you need a deeper saturation in your darks. Yes. No green tea here. A herbal infusion. Okay, herbal infusion. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so we have a tea and chroma discussion here. It's awesome. So let me show you the difference right now with the saturation. So this is like a super saturator here, as I mentioned, because when you add white into it, it's just gonna retain its chroma. Like, look at this. I mean, and then I actually even add way too much of white into it because it's a lighter value than it has to be. So let me just bring it up a little bit more. So there you go. So this is a super saturated pigment. So ideally, if you want to do impressionistic painting, you have to bring cadmiums, like super impressionistic. Or you can become a Rembrandt and understand these things, and use the simple pigments. But I just call it a tea. It's the same to me. Yeah, it's the same to me, a tea. But sometimes this is the only reason why I'm asking, because in my country, when I ask for a green tea, they usually bring me a herbal infusion tea because it has a color green. You know, so so that's why I was asking. With maybe, do you have the same problem wherever you go to cafes? Yeah, I'd imagine for plein air cadmiums are handy, less mixing. Yes, they're handy. They're it's less mixing, and they give you that saturation that you are asking for immediately. They just call it mint tea, munt tea, in Dutch, mint tea, and so on. Grown tea. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same in here when they ask me, like, would you like what kind of tea do you like? And I say green tea, and usually I don't think that it's not in like a like a tea cafes or places where you can buy a tea. I'm thinking more in like a regular restaurants, because I don't think that they, because visually there is no difference, and for someone who drinks tea regularly, you can feel the difference. And I'm not really into herbal teas, but for stuff that usually works with, like with the I don't know, with the bar, in the bar, I don't think the people in the bar care that much about their tea. So that's that. Okay, back to back to painting conversation from tea conversation, because it's all about the color, right? Herbal tea looks green enough, so it must be green. Green tea that you're asking for. So I'm interested in. I have to check with my Chinese friends if green tea has a specific separate name in Chinese or Japanese language, or is it also green tea because it has kind of a greenish color? I think you would need to go to tea specific places to enjoy it properly. Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's just, but sometimes, because I can't really drink coffee, and if you're in the restaurant, they ask you like, would you have a coffee, before your or after your meal, and I don't, because I can't. So I actually, luckily, I have actually tea specific place right in the building where my studio is. So. We just call it green tea here. Yeah, yeah. And matcha. Okay, matcha is another. It's another way. Yeah, it is nice to have a tea-specific place in the same building. It's actually downstairs. It's actually in the not attic. It's when it's in the roof. And how do we say when it's underneath the building? It's oh my God! It's just I'm blanking the name of that. Doesn't really matter. It's not catacombs, but it's because, see, this is how you know that you are talking to someone who spends way too much time with the different things that it's called. Yeah, you just, you're just, it's a catacomb. So it's in the catacombs of an old building. So they have a beautiful basement. Yeah. I mean, basement. I wanted to go catacomb, cellar, and just like, jail, all the kind of stuff. And I couldn't get the basement, just English 101. There you go. Yeah. Too much gaming. Okay, so and check this saturation right here. So this is what we're looking for. Indian yellow as its best. So we, just adding a little bit of white into it, and we're very close to saturation that we need. So it would be same value like these ones. Well, maybe a little lighter, but a high saturation. So this is the pigment that I'm missing here, right? So I extended my palette and I'm looking for the best representation of that. Of course, my Delacroix might disagree with me, and rightly so, because he's Delacroix and I'm a me. So, and Delacroix would disagree with me because he has that famous quote that I hope that I'm still quoting him, that give me a man and I can make it shine like a sun. So, or dirt rather, I think that's what he mentioned. So again, these are the things that you can experiment with. So let me move it on the side, and again, scraping and throwing it away because I don't want to pollute my pigments. I'm not going to clean it completely right now because I can actually, I'm going to use a yellow here right now, so I'm not that affected by that. So this is all good. So I'm gonna show you that saturation that I'm talking about. So let's bring that Indian yellow into the mixture. So we're getting extreme saturation that retains its saturation in a lighter values. And that's what I'm looking for. I want high intensity chroma in light value. This is already, I think, too dark for what I'm looking for, because I'm going to lighten all this. And I'm going to ask myself, like, if I want to lighten this and have it more bright, I need to account for the saturation right here. So this has to be a little bit desaturated here, a little bit. So what I'm going to do, instead of using this directly, I already have a pigment there. So let's try to mix it together. So I'm going to place it on top of existing pigment, and it's going to mix together. Nice. So, and I'm painting right now wet into wet already. So when you said that you are not you wanted to paint wet in wet, so now it's the, and I want to create that edge. So I'm trying to create that kind of chromatic edge right here that I see here. Because I'm very close on the in values around here. I'm just punching up that chroma a little bit more. and pushing around it. I'm not painting there. I don't have that much pigment into my brush anymore. I'm just, spreading that pigment a little bit around. And you can see how suddenly it's starting to look like there is a light there, and that there is also life. Because where is the light, it's also life. Whose quote it is? I don't know. Someone smart probably said that. And maybe I can get a little lighter here, but then, I want to reserve some light areas here. Even though this is probably, well, let's see. Let's push it a little lighter. Let's see what's going to happen. Like with the, remember, adding just white into this, it's also going to desaturate that or make it a little less chromatic. That's okay. See, like a little. And also another problem with this is that, it's not kind of like rounded equally, so I see like these little imperfection there. But let's slowly bring it. And right now, again, I'm just pressing this, like tabbing into it. I'm making it softer. And you can see how we went from desaturated value into semi-saturated, into high saturation, into lighter value, right? And creating that kind of a beautiful turn of the form there. And we're going to go the other way. We're going to go cooler and greener, or bluer rather, because it's a reflection from here. So I would grab this and start adding a little bit. And I said greener because I know already that that's how that mixture is going to turn into. Slightly greener value, which is going to be desaturated. And I'm letting that underpainting showing through a little bit here. Just a touch. And then again, the shadow is going to be saturated way more. Here, slowly pushing it. It's kind of fun. Let there be light. Okay. Okay, I had to say that. Yeah, let there be light. Okay. But I said someone famous. Isn't this from Bible though? I think it is from a Bible. Let's hit it with a little bit more saturation here. Just a touch. In between, just like so I can kind of soften that transition so it doesn't look that forced, and I can see a little bit of, Bible. That's what I thought. And just a little bit here as it goes up. Look at that kind of a slow, nice, random variation and transition that's happening there. And that's just the first stage. We're going to continue working on this and making it a little better. And you can still see a random, like a kind of a broken color there, random brush strokes being. Okay, I'm going to try and paint and hope I don't forget my tea. Almost always I forget, and it's cold by the time I remember to drink it. Same with me. We should probably have a timer. Maybe I could do that on the screen, like a layover, is it tea time, Or T minus T. Oh man, I'm laughing right now. I'm sorry, but T minus T reminds me like a rocket launch. I actually love that idea. Okay, let's do that. T minus T. Okay. That's funny. That is so funny. That's gonna be another inner circle joke. If we if we fail to drink tea in time, our art gets ruined. Yep. 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 So let me push this a little bit. I don't know if I'm just going maybe too far ahead of myself. Of course I am, as always. So it should be maybe even lower here. And it should be definitely a little lighter. So let me just introduce the little lighter version of this. And then maybe too far out. Okay, all right, that's cool because I can correct that. Speaking of the tea, I should probably go make myself a tea as well because mine is just gone. So let me go get a tea and I'll be right back for the second half. And I have to stand up and look from a distance because I'm sitting here into that chair. So I'll be right back. Just give me a sec. All right, I am back. Let's continue with this bed painting Friday. Setup that I have here. And let's continue with solving problems with that. So we talk about the chroma, and also right now you can see that while adjusting this thing chromatically, I'm also adjusting a shape. So I'm looking at this, so maybe I could push this a little bit, this direction. To get that little bit more where it's supposed to be. And then I also see a little darker value, a little bit of chroma. So let me just bring a little darker value right here. Yep, I think I'm right here. And I'm painting wet into wet right now, again, because I have a little bit of that background pigment there, so my edges are being really, really soft. Welcome back. Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you stick around for another part, or another half. Well, we're kind of halfway through, right? I also need to mix a little bit of the background again, because I want to correct this area as well. So it's going to start, shaping up a little bit more. I could also correct this a little bit. So it's going here. And here, and there's like a little edge there. Yep, and this has to go more this way and lower. So there's like a little, just a small edge right here. So that would be the direction of that handle, which caused so much trouble yesterday. And this is wrong as well. So let's bring a little bit more saturation there. That might be a little too much. So let's dial it down a little bit with that green. Yeah, this is way better, I think. Geez, wanted to paint with just one brush, but I'm bored of it and I wanted to find the different brushes, but that means more cleaning up work afterwards. I'm too lazy for my own sake. Yep, I know how you feel. Brushes are, cleaning brushes is just, ugh. Okay, so let's push it this way. So I made that transition a little bit, like so. I'm punching it up a little bit because I know that I will have to dial it down. A touch there, because I want to create slight difference between this area and this area here, which would be might be a little too much. It might be. I know that it's that dark, but if I want to do, well, let's see. Let's push it there for now as a placeholder for this, and let's see what's gonna happen afterwards. All right, so we're just shaping that cup a little better, and the same goes for these openings here, and that's why I really need to switch to a smaller brush, because there's no other way. Yesterday I was just, I wanted to prove point to myself that I'm capable of doing it, but I found it to be really difficult. Okay, switch the brush, yeah. So this is where it could be. Also, I'm seeing, since I'm there with there is a desaturated area right here. This should be desaturated and slightly lighter as a transition there. Like so, and also here. So really soft edge, soft transition in there. And then I have to go and correct this right here. It has to be dark because there is a drop shadow right there from the apple. This will give us a handle right here. And it goes this way. And down. No, I see where the problem is. Okay, so it is here, here, and this way in. I think that, I can tell right now that the holes in that these holes are in the wrong positions, unfortunately. Yeah, totally. Let me also bring another brush, because why not, right? For that, I just want to put that high saturated color note. On the apple. Which would be somewhere around here. Yep. Right here. And here. All right. And then this is desaturated. Let's correct that frowny face. A little bit here. Touch here, okay. So let's bring that apple to life a little bit. Right, and then just a tiny bit of desaturated pigment would be here to show that transition. because the brush I was using, it's getting shorter pretty fast and destroyed dragging pigments around, giving unwanted effect in some cases. It was annoying. It was annoying me. I guess that's a good sign, because that means I'm painting. I can't see that. I'm painting a bit more. Yeah. I'm painting a lot more. Okay, all right. Well, I can't really see that far. I have to get closer. I have to figure it out how to put the camera closer to me. But that's going to be a task for another day. So I'm getting into these desaturated values here. That kind of shape that. Side of that handle. I can also place them here because they're part of that right here. Yep. Okay, there is also a little darker value bottom right here, but I don't have a clean brush yet, so I'm not going to be bothered by that. But there is a little bit of that redness reflecting in here. I can see that. And I need a desaturated pigment with a darker value right here on the top. A little lighter. Where that apple is, and it also here. On that handle, it's desaturated, believe it or not, because it's catching a lot of reflected light from the side of that white shadow box. And I can see something similar happening here. It's like a desaturated edge of that cup right here. So we're starting to get a little bit more clarity into that cup. We still don't have an exact shape, which bothers me, but we are getting closer. So you see, like, we slowly, it was really, really bad, but we pushed it, and it's gonna get even better, hopefully. So let's get a little darker here, or a little less saturated rather, as well, to make transition here. Yep, I see like a little. And then make it even a little lighter and a little less saturated. As it moves away from us. Maybe I could make it softer here as well. Right? I think that the apple might be too big right now. That's what I think it bothers me, that it's way too big. Compared to that. And also, I see more of that cup right here underneath. So it's slightly different shape. Yep. And then there's this going this way right here where it's attached. Almost negating that shadow there. Might have been too dark. I think I might be too dark here with the shadow. So I'm going to soften it as it is right now. Okay, so it doesn't jump that much. And I think that, like I said, the apple might look a little too big. Yeah, I think that it's looking too big right now. So let me go and mix the background pigment again. Just check this out. I mean, I don't want to measure it necessarily, but I'm looking at the volume of that just a tiny bit. So it's not that big of a deal, but I still want to have it smaller. So let me mix that pigment of a background here. A little bit more of that saturation, perhaps. Okay, let me just let these brushes here for a second. I need a paper towel. Okay, I had to clean my brushes. What about the tea? Are you keeping up with the hot tea, or are you zoned in and start to paint and forget that you have a tea there? Nice, 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 nice. That might have been too much, but that's okay. And the reason why I'm making it smaller is, first of all, I think I see it smaller, and the second thing is that I think compositionally it would show better if it's smaller. I just have that feeling that that's something that was ruining the composition a little too much. I don't know. I might be wrong. But that's okay, because I can always, paint it back a little bigger. No, I think this is better. It just still doesn't look like it's sitting on this, because I don't have a cast shadow for it. So these are all like little also I need that saturation back right here. Which I lost. Okay, and then softening it. This is the most difficult area right here, which is going to determine a lot of things. So this has to go lighter here on that apple. We have like a little reflected light there. It's okay, it's too saturated. That's that's good. That's not a problem. But then I can make a shadow right here, and I can make a shadow right here. And let's actually make it blue. Yep, way better, a little lighter. That's saturation, yep. All right, and then a little bit of that stem right there. Desaturated area right here, and a little saturated area right there. A little lighter. Okay, to show that roundness of that apple, and we still can bring the light into it. That's okay, but as a local thing, it looks good, but it's still this all has to go lighter. I have to make it lighter. There's no other way. Lighter. Softening that edge completely. And I might lose again a little bit of that clarity there, but that's fine. That's fine. Well, that's not a problem because, like I said, maybe just a touch of warmth into it here and there. All right, so I felt that it's just too dark in these areas. And like I said, there's a little bit of that reflected light right here on the top. So I want to include it there because I think that there is too much of a contrast in areas. And let me make it a little. Nope. Yes, no, yes, yes, no, maybe. touch of that yellow there. Okay, and push it a little bit, even a little lighter in some areas. And right now I'm just looking for a little bit more of a composition there. So it could be maybe here. So I made that apple a little smaller and also a little darker by lightening up that value a little bit there. I also need a lighter value here. This is all low chroma. I don't want to have like a high chroma here. So let this disappear right here. And now it's a lost edge, and let me find that edge again. If I so choose, because again, on the photograph, it just looks that it's a hard edge there, but that's a photograph. But when you look in the real life, it's really soft. Even the light is soft, and that's the difference. It's I think that the photograph, it doesn't really give a proper. I really like your painting so far. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Because I struggled with that a lot, and it's not like it's super good, but at least we are just moving to a certain direction with this. So I didn't abandon that. I didn't went into my casual in my something that I used to do before, like going into like a rage mode and quitting on that. I'm just, I know that there are mistakes there, and I'm just going to correct them right now, and I'm going to have fun with it. So I appreciate that you liking it. It's something that gives me a little bit more it's a little easier to continue working on it. So let's see how far I can push it even further. So we can right now start really adding even more saturation right now in the lighter values. And that's what I was, at the beginning, that's what I was talking about, yesterday even, that I wanted to make it really close on values. But I want to find these really soft transitions there. So it's almost imperceivable. Like you can barely see it. And we're working on this edge right here, starting to slowly happen. I have to start working on this as well. So that's the next idea. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that background pigment that I have mixed here, and let's start correcting these a little bit. Maybe this should go even lower here. So I'm just going to boldly push it there. This way. So this is for all of you who struggles with, continuing and feeling unhappy about things. Same with me. It's just, we just have to push a little harder, and it's going to, it's going to change. Okay, and then a little lighter value I see here on the top. This disappeared as well. Okay, and let's give here a little bit of soft value, and then correct that shape. And see what's up. And then I see that it could be here. I could add a little bit more of that redness just to give it a little bit more of that shape that I'm looking for. And sip of a tea, because hydration, right? Tea time. And also I can right now evaluate certain things. Yep. There's too much chaos happening here, so let's correct that. It's going here. And it's here. All right. And I might do a little there is a lighter value here. Darker here. Darker here, and really dark here. That's the little piece that I need to adjust. All right, and then get a little softer here, and then lighter here. Like so. So I have a little bit of that edge right there. Slowly correcting that handle. And I still feel that I could push the saturation. I might have put a little too much here. It should be a little bit more here. Okay, so that's something that I misjudged. Lighter value. I think it should be here. down. So that's where that, and it should be like it's bulging out this way, almost like. And softens into this. Let's define this edge. Right here. And there is a desaturated edge here. And goes around just a little bit. All right, and then I need to get a little bit more of like this color right here, because it's reflecting from there. Just a touch. So break that kind of a continuous line there. And it's going here. Softening it. So I'm really looking for that, for the shape of that cup right now. And I still think that it looks, maybe not. Okay, so I have that. I have this adjustment right here, so this handle needs to go right here. Okay, cool. So I can actually use this and this. I think yours looks better than my painting at the moment. Oh, come on, don't be so harsh. You just, again, you're judging it too harshly. I'm pretty sure it's fine. You just being too hard on yourself unnecessarily. But I am expecting you to So what do you think that it's a problem with your painting? What do you think that it's a part that you are not happy about? Let's start with that. What I was trying to say. I expect you to. I expect an email with that because I don't trust you. We're always making it worse than it is, naturally, as all of us. But let me ask you, what do you think when you're looking at it right now? What do you think is the biggest problem? And this question is for everyone who is here, if someone is here except me and you. And you guys painting alongside. Let's figure out these problems together. I think that due to value, it was more challenging than I expected, and some chromas go outside that too. So I have to choose either chroma or value. My mistake is probably not keying it one thing like orange, for example, and other work, and work from there, if that makes sense. And a reflection of metallic reflection construction of metallic tray is extra challenging. Oh yeah, so you are. So my advice for, or advice, I wouldn't even consider it. Don't listen. Not ever listen to me. But something that I found out with metallic stuff, especially, is that with metallic objects, I go for value all the time. I struggle with metallic objects as well as you. I have the same issue with metallic objects, that I just want to include all the detail there, and it's not really the right way to do it. So I go for a value immediately, because I know that that's that's easier for me to identify. Yeah, that's why I keep myself to big brush only, to keep myself away from adding unnecessary details. Yeah, and that's something that I think it's kind of one of the key components when it comes to painting. It's to see a bigger picture, and when I say to see a bigger picture, I'm thinking about bigger picture in terms of what I want this painting to be. Because right now I'm again turning into a like color within, like coloring it in between the lines, which bothers me a lot. Because I don't see right now, when I'm looking at my painting, I don't see that, like, it doesn't go into distance. It's all flat. And I'm trying to correct it with it's something that I don't think that it's going to work, and that's perspective. So I have to step away from that. But I want to finish kind of drawing it, so I know that it has a certain shape there. Yeah, it's again just the cup, but it doesn't have that lightness. It's mostly because of composition, I think. I think it is because of that. Let me try something. Let's bring the light into foreground. And this might be like a problem also, because it's getting really dark here. might be a problem. So I'm trying to compensate for it in a way. Make this right here. The sharper edge. And let's maybe bring, this is going to be crazy, but let's just push this, that little light yellow kind of a reflection of that. And see, you can see my frustration because I'm starting to add more pigments just randomly, just throwing them around, which is not really, I wouldn't advise to do this to anybody. So, speaking of darkness, sun came out here and it's bright at the moment. I'll try to send it to your place. Oh, please do so, but I don't think it's going to happen. I do not think that's going to happen, but I kind of like this kind of a, like, look at this right now. It's just so, everything is kind of the same. It's such a beautiful scene, and the difference between like a bright light against this kind of a soft, and I like the softness a lot right now in that setup. It just, I cannot get it right on the painting. That atmosphere of like really kind of a smooth I like the soft edge where the mug and the ground meets the left side. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get across there, like little imperfections, not imperfections, like little areas right here, but this is all too, like a hard edges. And the reason why I have a hard edges there, because I'm trying to draw it instead of paint it. And you know, I'm not really looking for the light, for the color in that shadow, because that shadow has a color there, and I can't quite find it properly. So let's soften this a little bit. And then I should probably push this a touch. Right here maybe. Soften it down. And this shadow could be like really blue maybe. Because it seems just too dark. Yeah, making this like a nice blue shadow. Almost kind of disappearing into it. So it's kind of in the void. Yeah, but I think that might help actually to put it into that kind of a void, and maybe I should really bring a little bit more light. To that top corner. So let me squeeze a little bit more white into it, into here. And let me probably, time for tea, and it's getting, it's getting really dark here. I think I should stop. We're still not done with this. That's just crazy. It still doesn't have that feeling which I really strive for. Time to clean the palette a little bit. And since I want that warmth there, let me just mix. Well, that happens, but I like how it looks. Thank you. I mean, here's the thing. I am not dissatisfied with how it looks. It doesn't have that feeling that I'm searching for. And this is what what that next level painting is about. That the moment that you are just okay, like you might be satisfied with one part, but then like it lacks somewhere. It lacks somewhere else. And all my paintings are kind of a darker. And right now I really want to work with these lighter values. And I think I would have to go a little bit more like a little bit more with like yeah, I have to stop. Probably this is not really like the effect that I'm looking for. Probably is not probably I need a little bit more like a stronger pigments, like cadmiums. I'm trying to finish mine. I need to work again on Monday. Yeah, I have a feeling with mine too. See, this is just this is something that we probably all have to take into consideration when when working. When you're really trying to get a little bit more of that something that really that I don't know that painting is. I don't know how else to say that. Maybe push it a little here, make it lighter here. And I think it's all because of that handle. I mean, that handle is really annoying part, and I can't hit it right. And the reason why I cannot hit it right is because I didn't spend 100 hours of drawing it perfectly and then coloring in between the lines as I would do normally. So I have to, and this is, like I said, this is a bad painting Friday, and we continue today because I really want to go for that another stage in my painting process. So I don't need to draw everything perfectly before I just go. I just want to be a little bit more in tune with, with like I want to have that power of just bringing a pigments on like grab a pigment and just hit immediately these like value and saturation. So that's what bothers me probably most right now. That I don't possess that like quickness and freshness immediately. And that's what I want to work on. So that's why we're here, struggling, fighting. Right, so maybe this way, and then let's push this a little bit more with okay, frustration is back because I'm just throwing the pigment there a little bit more freely, I guess, would be the word. Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe okay, and then let's maybe push this a little bit more right here. Well, that might be enough. Okay. I think the problem is with let's flatten this a little bit. Okay. Let's try the shape a little better. maybe if I push this a little bit, more this way. Like this. Softening it here. And it disappears into a shadow. It creates that edge a little bit more. Okay, right now the openings are not the same size, so that's another problem. And I think that they are too, okay, maybe this could go a little darker. That might actually solve that issue a little bit. So maybe I made this too. Maybe. And there is a little light area right here. And I'm moving with my eyes all over the place, so I apologize for just jumping from one to another. Okay, I need a little bit more of this green, because that green is going to be here. And it needs to be lighter. And even lighter. There's like a touch of green right here in that apple. I see it there. Like so, and then a little bit in the front as well. Right, a little bit there. And then it has to be really, really light. Right here on the top, lighter even. Here, a little bit more. Lighter valley. Yeah. Right here, and then maybe this all disappeared into this background right here. And then bring this edge up closer. So this could go all into background, yep. And then also I could do the same thing for this edge right here. So I'll push these forward and I could soften all these. Especially that one. Okay, and then also this is higher saturation right here. And then a little desaturated area right here. Softened. Okay, and right now we can work a little bit on that apple more, just to rest my eyes from that other areas. I'm starting to, I still don't have the feeling that I'm looking for when it comes to this painting. So I'm going to grab a little bit lighter value for the highlight on the apple, which is right here. Just a little funky touch there, but it's supported by softer, lighter areas right here with a really light kind of a rose right there, and one more time with that accent for the apple, and then a little lighter green area right here as well. Just to show the form a little bit, and there is a darker value right here, like so. And then that stem, that would be a little bit more here, and then like a little shadow area here. So we're getting closer to that, you know, like an apple. It's getting a little bit more where I want it to be. Unfortunately, that think I know what's happening. I think this is good distance right here. Okay, let me do a little drawing. So this could go a little more outside here. But then compositionally, I need to push this a little bit more out. Maybe I could do it for the sake of a painting. To push it a little bit more out this way. Because I need to move that dark edge right here and give a little bit more space here. Yep. Which would give me option to push this a little further this way. Because I push these holes a little way too much. I mean, I'm looking vertical thing. So they are almost underneath the... So that's what's making it wrong, I think. Yeah, I think the apple is in the right position. This needs to probably go a little higher up for composition, and maybe I could move it this way a little bit more. So let's see. So if it will go a little bit more this way. Yeah, that's the problem. A little bit more that way. This is not in the right spot, even though I moved it. This needs to go lower here. All right, no worries. It's all good. It's all good. Which would push it this way. I think I'm starting to get closer to where I want to be. I think. It took me only 8 hours. It only took me 8 hours to get where I should have been at the beginning. See, this is what happens to me when I really, really don't like my initial composition, and then I struggle to, because it doesn't make sense to me visually. And if it doesn't make sense to me visually, then it's a problem. It's a big, big problem. It's a pain in the ass. I'm sorry. I cursed. It's a pain in the butt. And it goes like, why am I trying to make it straight? Because it looks straight from here. So that's that occlusion, but if I'm making that occlusion there, let me make lighter value here. Like so. So there's a lighter value here. Yep. And I can make the same little lighter value here as well, even though lost that edge, but that's okay. Just going to go this way. All right, and then I can push this a little higher up. Which would bring this a little higher up. I think it's slowly starting to go to you cursed. I'm going to call cops. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Yeah, it's just I'm just so into figuring this out, trying to figure this out, and I think I already moved to any possible direction with this, and it doesn't want to budge. So it's me versus this painting, and I'm not going to budge either. So. Okay, yeah. Ooh, there's too much of that. No way. And I'm going to move an inch. This is what happens. What is that saying? This is what happens when what's that saying when I'm trying to find out? Oh, when immovable object meets unstoppable force. This is what's gonna happen when somebody has to give, and it's not gonna be me, for sure. Right, we're getting closer to desirable. I can't see. I can't see. Why I cannot see right now? I need to see. All right, we have this, and then I should have a little bit of, ooh, this might be too much on this side. let's soften this whole thing. Let's take this and let's just make this right here, like so. Let's really bring a paint there. Okay, I have to squeeze more pigment. Because I'm in a frustration phase. So let's throw more pigment on this and let's see what sticks. Frustration mode activated. So this is going to be a softer value right here, but that's cool. I can make the softer value here. Maybe. No. More. May I join your frustration club? Nope, nope, you're not allowed. This only for real frustration here, and anger and all that kind of cool stuff. And this is should be happy thoughts. My husband just looked at my study and said that what? That the orange reflection looks bad. What does he know? What does he know about painting? You as a professional painter, explain to him that he doesn't understand what he's seeing. He knows it's not a reflection. Yeah, but it's a painting. You should tell him that. This is what I usually do when someone point out my mistakes. I usually say that, well, you don't understand that. That's a start. And then second, you don't understand the painting. And if that doesn't work, I usually use, but where's your imagination, man? Just, just like I let you hear a space to imagining things and you don't get it. And I tried so hard. I'm laughing. I know I'm laughing about this, but that's just that's just the go-to when it comes to this. you should use a Big Lebowski. It's just like your opinion, man. Which is the biggest comeback of all times I've ever heard in in a history of comebacks. I don't know if for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Big Lebowski it's a very funny movie. For me especially, because I used to live in California and Los Angeles, especially when this whole thing is happening, and they captured that in that movie, that kind of how would I even put this? Like that kind of a um, um, feeling for that city and the people that live there perfectly. And Big Lebowski, yes, I'm talking about Big Lebowski. And there was that scene in the bowling alley when they're arguing and insulting each other, and, and that dude, he said, well, yeah, that's just like your opinion, man. It is so funny. It is just, it's the funniest comeback that I've ever heard in my life. That's I know, I know I'm suddenly out of you haven't seen that? Oh, come on. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? You haven't seen that? Ah, I mean, just, yes, you're serious? Okay, well. So stop reading books and start watching movies. It's my recommendation for you. I guess that's my homework for, for tomorrow. Absolutely. Absolutely. My homework for tomorrow is going to be here in the studio and waiting for Rembrandt to show up and fix this painting. Which is probably, I think that even he wouldn't be able to fix this. This is so funny. This is getting, I think it's that moment when it's getting late. And I'm, I don't see pigments, I don't see colors, I see nothing. I see just the, whatever this is. I think you might call it this as a, I should call this painting Maybe Next Time. Dude. That's the official title of this. Somehow things, he'll tell us to start over again. Do sketches before we can paint. Yeah. Well, he told me something even worse. Are you sure you want to be a painter and not a, I don't know, something that does not necessarily involve painting and bright? I mean, you can still do like, you can sweep the studio with the brush, but not paint. That's what he told me for sure. For sure, seeing this. But that's okay. That's what the Bad Painting Fridays are all about. Bad paintings. Fortunately, it's Saturday. I was expecting to break that. All right, I can't really see anything. Luckily, I can suffer through this. Even tomorrow. Because this painting is going nowhere today. Oh, all right. I guess I'm going to tap out for today, and let's try tomorrow. It was a great day today. I'm really smiling, and I'm having fun. I'm being a little bit more melodramatic that I should be, I guess. But it's difficult. It's difficult to find the essence of such a simple setup. But you know, we're gonna try tomorrow, well, tomorrow is Sunday, so I'm not gonna be here. Well, maybe I will, because of this. So let's see what's gonna happen tomorrow. If I'll be here, I'll turn on the stream, but I cannot promise that because I might be jumping back and forth on and off on this because I have some other work that I have to work on. But it was really fun today. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, keep your eyes on the notification. It might be, but it might be just a short, you know, maybe hour or two, because I don't think that weather is going to change. It's going to get better, but it's getting really, really dark, and I can barely see. And tomorrow I will probably work a little bit more on that cup and all the mistakes in like overall feeling of the cup that it's there. So let's see what's going to happen tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating, and I hope that you enjoyed this. It was kind of a important part of it. This is kind of important part of that learning process of something new, or experimenting, or how would this is that exploration that we always talk about here. I'm searching for something. I'm trying to find something in this, and I'm going to push it tomorrow and day after tomorrow to search for that. It's not necessarily about the drawing, because you know it's not. Of course, the drawing is a problem, but kind of overall feeling is missing. And I'm going to search for it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe day after tomorrow, it's going to show up, and it's going to dawn on me rather. But I want to be ready for that. So, and that's why I think it's important that we practice this every day, because you never know. It might be here tomorrow. I thought it's going to be here today. Partially it was, but not as much as I wanted. So I'm going to push even harder tomorrow with creative ideas. If I will be here, and let's see what's going to happen. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for participating, not only in the chat, but also painting alongside, because that's what this is all about. You know, it's just being here in the studio with you guys. It's so much fun for me, even though I look like I'm frustrated. I'm not. I'm enjoying this. So thank you, and I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow, and if not, then on Monday. So thank you again. Take care. Stay cool. And let's see how much further we can push this Bad Painting Friday. So, yeah, thank you again. I'll see you soon. Bye.